Mm-mm. We don't want to waste it here. We don't want to waste it on the filter end. We got 2 mics to wait for. You sent to both, right? Okay.
I did.
Good.
Send it to both of them.
Sent to both of them.
They both have the link.
They both have the link.
Oh my God.
Don't want to do that. You can't do it on the filter end. You got to tell a story about hiking or something.
Oh, hiking, huh?
Tell me about hiking. Tell me about your friend group.
I have so many friends, and they're all great. Love them all.
Tell me about your friend group, CJ.
I wore this today to try to calm the nerves. Don't panic. What's there to panic about?
Nothing.
Everything's good.
Nothing.
Everything is great.
Where are these 2 guys? I always, when it's cold out, I always turn the heat up before we pod because I don't want to wear a sweatshirt. I like wearing a t-shirt because I get hot in the middle.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I turn it off as soon as we start. But in the beginning, it's very stuffy in my office. Mm-hmm. Very stuffy. Very stuffy.
Are you wired or are you tired?
Yeah. Well, I'm very tired. I had a drive back to Lansdale today and then back up to New York. So it's been a long fucking day. And it's an 8:00 game. But I'm ready to go. Hey, who knows? Maybe the other guys from the pod might show up today.
We'll see.
We'll see. We're just waiting for everyone, buddy, or in the chat. Everybody in the chat, we're waiting for Mike, and we have MOC joining us tonight.
We are waiting for both mics.
Both mics.
Did you send a rundown?
I didn't. Oh, let me send it to you.
A little pre-show exclusive for you, chat.
Mm-hmm. I send a rundown to everybody. There you
little
go.
behind-the-scenes action.
A little behind the scenes. The rundown.
What we do here.
Has the sponsors, has all the topics I want to get to. The mic never looks sad. There's one mic. Don't do the show before the show. Don't do the show before the show. We're live. Don't do the show before the show. We want to wait for give the other mic a chance to show up. This is his big break. No one's ever heard of it. Yep.
Let's go!
There he goes. There's the other mic. Mike, we're live. Don't say anything bad. Don't react either. Don't react because we're live, but we haven't even.
Slur. Pick it right now. Just say it off the top of your head. Don't even think about it.
I'm too smart to know that this is live, Mike. You'll have to ask me in the pregame show next time when we're not.
It was MOC's birthday the other day, so happy belated birthday, MOC.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you guys.
Mike L, could you talk? You sounded a little low. I just want to make sure you're good. What? Can you talk?
No, that's how I talk.
Doesn't he sound low?
Normal stuff.
Does sound quiet to me.
Yeah, he sounds quiet. Are you talking to the correct side of the mic?
There's 2 sides of the mic. I know which one to talk in.
I know. I'm just thinking.
I brought you up 30%.
It wouldn't be the first time. You know? All right. We'll just talk. Yeah. Let's go. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and check out our same game parlays for every game. We didn't hit tonight, but that's okay. Everything's all right. And brought to you by Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of The Process, as well as Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe, statesidevodka.com. On the show today, the most un-Sixers win in the 10 years we've been doing this podcast, I think, to be quite honest with you.
Disagree.
Really? Well, we'll get.
This is the intro. I don't talk during.
All right.
I chime during the intro.
Okay, chime. And before we get going, this comes from happy anniversary, Jerry and Tara. Jerry says, my wife and I are longtime listeners, only one of us by choice, both process trusters. My wife is wearing her Dario shirt today. April 25th is our 7th anniversary. Shout out. Happy anniversary. And also rest in peace, process pup Dante. We love you. Had a great life. Slept on a big barker. Much love to Brian and the rest of Dante's family. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with two Mikes, Mike O'Connor and one playoff motherfucker himself, Mike Levin.
You take all these notes.
Yeah.
You think things are going to be exciting. You want to talk about that. You want to talk about the turnovers. You want to talk about stuff. And then Joel Embiid is the best player of all time. Sir, like the most, like, oh my God. This level, I'm dog sitting. I almost punched the dog while we were there.
Fuck.
I didn't punch him. I didn't punch the dog. It was as I was celebrating. The dog's face was near a celebration fist.
Okay.
Unbelievable. I mean, a game. Look, I was texting Dave and Tanner Seidel, Dave Reuter, former Liberty Ballers guys. If those teams were reversed and we were the Raptors and we were playing as well as the Raptors were playing, and they were only up like 8 or 10
barely
or 12,
winning.
I would be like, we're losing this game. And so I wasn't ready to say I think the Sixers are winning this game, but I didn't think the Raptors were going to win it either. So I was relatively calm and confident, and that's really good game. Shout out DeAndre Jordan getting in there in the end. That's big for everybody. Congrats to him. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
Man, I want to call like a heat check. I want to call an ISO for myself real quick, if I may.
Do it.
Yeah, I was going to give you credit.
Come on, man.
Yes.
I told you guys to believe in this dude.
He did.
I've not always been like, Embiid fanboy guy. Like, I just believe in this dude this year. This is a different guy. This guy is a fucking warrior. Like, I'm telling you, I just see a different guy than I've seen in years past. The dude from 2018 and 2019 and even last year does not have this game. This is a different dude. This dude is capable of getting you through this round and the next round and the round after that if the rest of the team is up to it. Like, I believe in this dude, and he showed you why tonight. I am right to believe in it.
I believe that Mike O'Connor was making a calculated decision to say that he feels this way, but the calculated decision worked out. Sometimes it is that way. Mike, I felt the same way, Mike L. I felt the same way as you early in the game. I was like, the Sixers had turned the ball over 15 times in the first half.
15 times in the first half.
In the first half. The Raptors not only felt like they were playing well, but there was the energy, there was the crowd, and just like, this is a game that if all of those things are going, you really should be up 26 at the end of the first half. And I didn't, again, exactly feel the same way. I didn't know if the Sixers could battle back and do it, but I didn't think the Raptors had the game. And it was, until the very end, truly, it was the longest I think I've ever seen a team battle back from a 10-point deficit. Like, it was like they
took forever. Just got to that.
Yeah.
Quite, the ledge was
like they got a quarter point
opportunities.
Every 3 minutes. They like picked up the quarter point. And it seemed like partway through the fourth quarter, then Embiid was like tired. It seemed like he ran out of energy at one point. Because I think that's probably why we saw a couple of those turnaround step back threes. Also because he loves doing it, and like, he's the guy at home at his rim yelling Kobe as he like does the turnaround three at the end. Did that fucking shot? I mean, okay. The way that
there's never been a more relatable
what are we even talking about?
7'2" best player of all time. Like it's the amount, because you could see everything. He's just like, and maybe it's just for our fan base and every other fan base has it, but like, I'm so fucking happy for Joel that he made that shot. Like he had a great game. Otherwise, a couple turnovers, especially early, like got rattled by the stuff, like the home crowd, all that stuff. It was very cool that he got some fuck Embiid chance and getting booed like that.
Yes,
that's like elevates him to a next level. Raptors fans are just, I don't know, they're just doing their thing. They're making up intent on injuries and whatever. I get it. It's the playoffs. Feel what you got to feel. But like for him to do this on the same court that he like broke down crying after Game 7 after the Kawhi shot, which they fucking showed like moments out. I'm not prepared for that. I need like a warning. I need like a moment's heads up for that. Even like Marc Gasol like consoling Joel at half court after the game. Just like I just feel like we as a fan base are connected to this guy through the losing and the injuries and the overweight and all this stuff and like all the like, almost and the GMs and the regimes and the shitty coach and like all this stuff. Just he had like been shit. Like he overcame so much and like with us, like we felt that shit. And it's the first round of a series that they absolutely should win. They're a better team, but it feels just like the way that the playoff path has lined up. Like there's many dragons that need to be slayed and like take care of this like emotion, just like defeat emotional baggage from your past. And like what a nice feeling that this was that in this one shot where he just took the fuck over. I love him so much. I would do anything for him.
MOC, can I ask you, what is more MVP behavior? A game-winning shot to put your team up 3-0 or getting thrown out of a game that you're getting your ass kicked to go down 2-0 at the end of the game? What do you think is more MVP behavior?
Well, I think what you're forgetting is that the all-in-one metrics owe us no explanations, and we should never question them. And if they say that Jokic is twice as good as the second best player in the league, we should just believe them. And it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what we watch. We should just base our MVP votes on those and go from there. And it doesn't matter that throughout the entire history of the NBA, we have based the MVP vote in part on story. And there's good reason for that. Like, part of, if you look at any of the past, let's just take the last 10 winners, like there's some element of, oh, like this player was like integral to the story of this NBA season. And this player like really became who he was in a way this NBA season. Like, so when Steph Curry won his first MVP, like there was Warriors were revolutionizing basketball. And when he won his second MVP, it was like Steph took another leap up. It was just all about the Warriors. I'm not saying Embiid is having like that type of season, but like there was so much of this season that was about the Sixers, about Joel Embiid. This dude dealt with a crazy, unfathomable shitstorm. And I thought it was like strange that it was so often compared. Well, you know, Embiid didn't have Simmons, but Jokic didn't have Porter and Murray. Like being injured is way different from quitting on your team and sniping at your teammates through the media and leaving those guys, like basically just walking into that locker room during training camp, dropping a grenade and walking out, and like dealing with that, all that type of stuff matters. And I would be okay with us just like taking all story out of it if we ever could, but we can't. And so we have to consider it. And to me, like having watched Embiid his entire career, I just saw a dude that was different even from last season. And like he is, the game has slowed down for him. He is different mentally. Like he is as skilled as he's ever been. And I just think we will look back in 10 years or 20 years and people who remember this season will be like, man, I don't really remember Jokic doing much that season. Like it just wasn't about him. This season was about Embiid. And Embiid actualized his potential in a way that was just so unique. And like, I don't know, I could go on a rant for hours about this stuff, but most valuable fucking player, like he just is. He's the most valuable fucking player in the league.
I wanted to talk about the timeline of this Embiid game. I was also laughing at if this was the first time anybody's ever listened to this podcast, is just in its true incoherence and bragging after a first round win. I just fucking love everything about it. Before we get to the timeline of the game, I mentioned the DraftKings Sportsbook same game parlay lost tonight. We did a Toby time one. It was 14 points, 2 threes, 6 rebounds, and a win. We got the 6 rebounds. We literally, if he'd hit a 3, he would have had 14 points again. So we're 2-1, whatever. NBA, next level basketball, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Bet $5 on any team to win. If you're a new customer, get $150 in free bets instantly. Also, the same game parlays, you know what those are. You can put a bunch of bets in one from the same game, and the odds go up. Each day of the first round, you get a risk-free bet of up to $10 if your same game parlay doesn't hit. How about that? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. And people have been asking for Paul Reed same game parlay. I've been asking them. I'm on them for it. We haven't gotten the Paul Reed what's it called?
Over 3 points. 1.5 rebounds.
Yeah, we haven't gotten up there yet, but we will. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use promo code RTRS. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game during the first round of the playoffs, and bet $150. Get $150 in free bets instantly. It's promo code RTRS at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And one other thing, I did mention stateside vodka. I did get my playoff motherfucker engraved glass today, rocks glass. There you go. If you $49.99, you get one of these, the playoff motherfucker ones. You get a regular season bitch one and a 750 milliliter bottle of stateside vodka. Just go into the show notes of this podcast and the link will be right there. $49.99, stateside vodka, official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter. All right. The beginning of this game for Joel, for the Sixers specific as a team, but for Joel against the Raptors, looked more like the thing that we were worried about coming into this series than in any moment, right? They were swarming. He didn't know where the double teams were coming from. They were turning it over. They just, it was everything that I was worried about. Now, this was the game that you were, if you're a Sixers fan, you're like, wow, this is the game they might get. But the thing that was worrying me was this is what I thought the Raptors were capable of. Mike, to your point earlier, they kept it close, but the fact that, we've seen some Embiid clunkers over the years in the playoffs, even though they're better with him on the court. This seemed like it was going to be a clunker. And I think at half, he had 5 points and 5 boards, right? And looked completely out of sorts. For him to come back with 18 in the third quarter and end up with 32 and 13 or whatever the fuck it was, just for this particular game to end up as the game winner game, MOC, to your point, says so much about how far he's come as a player, because this would have never been a game that he ends up with 30 points and double-digit rebounds and a game winner at the end, based on how the first half went. It just would have never happened before, It
is very obvious how much better he's gotten this year, and how much, a couple years ago, you're like, yeah, he could probably get a little bit better at these couple things. It'd be nice if he didn't turn the ball over as much. The passing was really the biggest issue in the past. There was that you thought he could improve on, but how much he's refined literally everything, every single part of his game. It's ridiculous. I mean, and for this shot, the shot, for him to hit this shot in the same game that he was very clearly nursing whatever happened with his thumb or his wrist or whatever it was, he's holding that thing. It's just it is a combination of, he's extremely big and physical and talented, and he wants it more than anybody also. And it's hard for a guy that big, with that much weight on him to do it. And he has the balls to hit every shot, every jumper that he hit in this game, felt like at the most necessary time. The spin move over his left shoulder from the elbow was ridiculous. He had a couple game tying, he had 3 buzzer beaters in this game just off the shot clock. I mean, and a bunch of really good defensive plays as well. That's, obviously one of the major parts of his game that it's not as fun to talk about as the fact that he's the leading scorer in the NBA. But ridiculous block on OG to end the first quarter. Switched onto Gary Trent in the perimeter that one time and forced him into a really awkward shot. He had a very clean block at the end on that OG drive that they challenged, or they didn't have the challenge left. Otherwise, it would have been overturned. I mean, I really like Joel. He does this funny thing where when another teammate like makes the wrong play on defense, he'll look at them being like, what? Like, obviously the right play, like he looks confused by it because he just doesn't like fathom like why you could be bad on defense when he's so good at everything. And he wasn't shooting this whole series. The first games of the series, he had like 2 jumpers or something.
I wanted to bring that up. He's been able to be really great and productive without probably his biggest weapon so far, you know?
And like we saw the whole gamut of his skill set. Like he had a couple really nice rolls off Harden pick and roll, one for a lob, one for the hammer dunk on Siakam, one for that play that like he had like the hook shot that kind of just hit off the bottom of the front rim and went in somehow. He's just got good touch. He's the best player in my lifetime. I love him. I want everything he wants for himself. Like he deserves it. I feel I couldn't be more invested in a human being than I am in Joel Embiid.
I was worried at the beginning of the game that I was worried what was happening was the Raptors were starting to wear him down mentally a little bit. Like all the double teams and coming from different angles and at different times. Like he just like, I felt like in game 2, he just figured out, all right, if I'm going to score, what I got to do is just throw bodies around. And I don't think he came out tonight with that mentality in like the first quarter. He was just kind of trying to ease into his normal touches. And the Raptors were kind of mixing up their doubles. Sometimes they were sending him on his first dribble, sometimes on the catch. And it just like wasn't quite like dialing it in. And then in that third quarter, like, and we can talk about Harden later on, but like, I thought it was like a credit to him that like he got Joel a couple of easy looks, and not that dunk was an easy look, but just like setting him up and kind of starting to get him in the flow. Like I thought his decision-making really calmed down after that. And that was when we started to see the shots falling. And like, dude, the shot making on display was just like insane. That turnaround he had, I think it was it late in the fourth or in overtime, where it was like, he got kind of caught up on the right elbow. And I was like, I don't even think he's going to be able to turn around on this pivot and like face the basket. He was at like a basically perpendicular when he left his feet.
As a ballet move, that was impressive. And he also hit a shot off of it, which is
insane. So I mean, like I think that, like I said, the thing I was worried about was they were maybe wearing him down mentally. And it's just such a credit to him that he was able to find his footing and just like, you know, find a rhythm and still dominate this game in ways that in past years he probably gets frustrated and commits some bad fouls and continues to turn the ball over and all that stuff.
I just simply don't know what Raptors fans are going to cry about now. Just cry about it. Just cry.
Can I ask, like, dude, what is going on with the fucking Embiid chants? Like,
well,
is it the Scotty Barnes play?
I think so. I think
it's
so.
That plus like maybe like an elbow here and there to the face of the guys in elbow range. But I think it's just really frustrating to like playoff series are fucking intense. And he has been destroying them.
He's getting treated.
He's extremely physical, and I get why they're pissed. I don't ascribe, intent to physicality in a playoff series. Like he's not kicking guys in the nuts. Like, but they're wrong. No. But like I get, I get and appreciate, and I'm fine with them hating him because it's like they should. He's ripping their hearts out.
MOC, I texted MOC about Trae Young the other day. I forget which game it was after because I fucking love Trae Young. But one of the sign, like the true sign of I'm in your fucking head is when the other crowd is chanting "fuck you." And I think Knicks fans are hilarious, but the fact that they're so obsessed with Trae Young means that Trae Young has won that thing, so to me, them chanting "fuck Embiid," and here's a guy who used to be that kind of guy, used to be a guy who would agitate the other fan base, but has really done nothing to Raptors fans at all.
That's the thing.
Is a testament to how good he is, I think.
I was going to say he's getting treated like Kyrie's getting treated in Boston. And he's like, Kyrie like lit the city on fire. And Embiid just like been like kind of good in this series. I don't know.
I mean, great quote on the Nick Nurse conversation though. So that happened right after we finished the podcast. He's a singularly unique player. All that being said, I would still rather have, especially when Harden fouled out, I'd still really rather have the ball in Maxey's hands in those a lot of ends of games moments because he can hit those step backs, and he obviously did. Joel did. Like that's impressive, but the downhill nature of Maxey with Embiid there as a rolling threat or a popping threat that commands the defense he's obviously just so much more comfortable with the ball in his hands. They're obviously the refs aren't going to give him those calls a lot of times. It got physical. Obviously, it got physical with Tobias in that end of regulation play. Like I would just much rather have Maxey's ability to be a 3-level scorer with the handle and quickness that he has in those moments. So I was a little bit frustrated in those times when it was like, just give it to the guy that can actually make something happen here. But I mean, Joel's Joel. I get it.
I wanted to talk about that actually, because I have been an advocate for several weeks of, in a last minute situation, I'd rather see the ball in Maxey's hands than Harden's hands. But I would say, Mike, to disagree a bit with that, I think he did have some opportunities in the fourth quarter and overtime. And one thing that does seem evident about Maxey is that he is not there yet in terms of setting up and running an offense and getting a shot. And he gets a lot of, like, him playing with Harden, I think, is a huge benefit to him because he doesn't have to set up the offense. And I thought there were a couple of times after Harden had fouled out, and Harden had a weird game. We'll talk about that, of course. There were a couple of times after Harden fouled out in the fourth and overtime where Maxey did have a chance, and it looked like he didn't know what to do. I think like part of it is the way that he gets to the rim is full speed. It's not like he has some sort of like sick handle or something. And it doesn't always like work in a one-on-one. Like it almost works off the catch and go, but not he has the ball and go. And it didn't quite look like he had a plan, I think. And he's super young, and he's obviously been wonderful. This isn't a negative thing on Maxey, but I think he showed his age, and like without Harden, it did show a point that you've made a bunch of times, Mike, what Harden means when he's on the court. I thought Maxey struggled with that a little bit.
I think in those situations, like part of it is, and this is kind of a general thing with me for Maxey, is like I want him to have like 10% more swagger. Like I want him in those types of situations. Like you're saying he doesn't have a plan. I think his plan should be point to Precious Achua or Gary Trent or whoever and say, get me that guy on a switch. And I'm going to attack. It looked like a lot of times, like he just wasn't sure, like, is this my turn? Should I look for Joel? Like, I think he passed to Joel with like 7 seconds left on the shot clock when he was outside of the 3-point line. Like, it's got to be in his mentality, like, this is my time to create a shot when it's this late in the clock and I have the ball here. So I think you know, like you're saying, it's just he's used to playing with Harden. He's used to being that second or third guy on the perimeter. And as time goes on, he'll get more used to those moments.
For sure. And I mean, like, it's another first quarter where he deferred again, had 0 points. Like, that's problematic. But it's, again, he's a kid and he's already so good. And I think he just, like, wants to make everybody happy and do what they tell him to do and be, like, a nice teammate. But it's like, you are the best option for getting easy points and, like, getting to the rim. I think initially his physicality, I think he didn't respond well to physicality, turned the ball over 5 times in this game. That is, I would assume that is the most he's ever turned the ball over in any game. But he's still, like, hit a bunch of huge shots in overtime, turned the corner, just like fucking, like, he's the equivalent of like a Darren Sproles between like when the random time when Darren Sproles like gets between the tackles and just scoots behind, like a young Darren Sproles. This isn't, I'm not a metaphor I'm proud of, but like just like run it down their fucking throats, man. And like he is a like downhill, like you can't stop him. He's too fast. He's too good. He's too crafty around the rim. He just like, even the floater that he missed, he tipped in, which is just like at his size, a testament to just like how much fucking guts he has. He goes hard for loose balls. He plays his ass off. And the things that he's not good at, Harden is good at right now, which is huge and makes them a really, really nice pairing. But it would be nice when Harden's not on the court for him to, or when he's on the court to just like take a bigger role, because he is like, he's better physically than his brain realizes, I think, at this point. Like they need him so bad. Especially at the ends of games when like they're not going to call those fouls. Joel's vulnerable with the ball 30 feet from the basket and having to dribble a lot if guys are running at him and stuff. It would just be nice to go from there. But he's incredible. Some huge shots at his age. I do want to say that timeout, you mentioned the play where he threw it to Joel with like 7 seconds left on the shot clock, like in a bad place. That timeout from Doc was really big at the end before the ATO. Like that's him.
Yes.
Doc tearing. It's faster than Doc. That's a bigger play. That Doc running down the sideline that fast is bigger than Danny dunking last game. Like that is.
Whoa!
Like, let's get
I
him
don't
in an
know
ice.
about that.
Let's get him in an ice bath. I've never seen him move that fast. Maybe even when he was on the Knicks. And it's just like a good ATO from Doc. Like I like calling this guy dickhead, but he's I thought coached a really hell of a series and a couple big moments that he's come up big in as well.
Does Nick Nurse look like, after your parents get divorced, a guy that your mom starts dating?
Yeah, but that you like. I think you're like fine with it.
Okay, Harden. Because they're getting on us in the chat because 3 times we've talked about Harden's game and we're half an hour into the pod. we haven't talked about it yet. It was a real weird combo in that he seemed to get to the rim more cleanly than he has in a long time.
Absolutely.
But it also seemed like this was the first time in the series that when he would get a step on his guy, somebody didn't come into the lane. They just sort of like let him have it a little bit.
Sometimes. I think sometimes it was like early on they still did. He still had 10 assists. So he was still like making plays and finding and like picking guys off. But for the past few days, and it was like, why are you helping on him? And I think without that guy there, all he needs is like one step on somebody, and then he's in front of him and he uses his body so well, and he did get all the way straight to the rim. And when there's not a big there, like whether it's Siakam or Anunoby or Precious or whatever, to come over and help, he can get to the rim really easily, even with a guy like right there. The problem is when there is a guy over there and like the defense pinches in a way that like there's not an easy, it's like what's right before the rim. And there was one time when he had like a floater, but like I'm not super confident in his like in between game. And obviously like there was no in between game in Houston. It was just like get fouled or get to the rim. And so I would like to see like I don't know if he's going to do it this series, but like the floater is something that he can do, like pulling it back out a little bit and not just forcing it into somebody's like chest and getting blocked by Anunoby, which he did a couple times, or like a little, honestly, just like Chris Paul type fade away, just like in rhythm kind of thing, which he doesn't really do very often, but it'd be nice to have in these kinds of moments. But I thought it was a great offensive game. The step backs, I hold my breath every time he does it, but when they go in, it's such a like life suck for the other team. Mm-hmm. I thought it was his worst defensive game of the series. I didn't think he moved really well. He fouled kind of a little bit because he was being lazy, I think. But like a bunch of huge plays, and he got like he's just such a helpful force on the court at all times. And even though we'll talk about Bibo Paul, I'm sure. Even though it wasn't like the best second unit non-Embiid minutes, like it was still not as bad as it was in previous playoff series and previous playoff games, which would have not allowed them to make the comeback because they would have like died every time Embiid went out.
I think Harden deserves a lot of credit for, it looked like he was ready for the Raptors to start like making him more of a scorer.
Yeah.
And he took that initiative on, and I don't know, like clearly they don't win this game without him. I thought he was really like instrumental in just like kind of like leveling the storm. And when they were down, 17 and he created a lot of good shots on offense. He had a couple step backs, and like those types of just like instant offense type things are things that like I don't think we value enough, and that like you just need on your team so badly because it just gives you life. Like when you're down 17 and Harden makes like 3 great plays in a row, and then all of a sudden you're down 8, like you just have new life. And that was what I thought was so big from him. Obviously didn't do as much in the fourth quarter. To your point, Mike, I thought he was horrible on defense. Like blown switches, not boxing out, like obviously fouled out. That foul on Achua, his 6th foul was horrendous. You just can't have your hands in there. Like Embiid was going to swat that shot out of bounds, and
there was
thankfully
3 seconds left on the shot clock. Yeah, he was drawing dead there.
But I thought it was a really good overall game from him.
Yeah, and I to your point, like those quick buckets, like in the third quarter, it was like those transition buckets before the defense gets set, because the Raptors have a really good defense, and they had a good transition defense a couple times tonight. There were times when they like really got back incredibly fast when the Sixers had an advantage. They're a really impressive team in a lot of ways, but Harden just getting Maxey the ball, weaponizing Maxey's speed in transition. There was like 5 or 6 like points that they got just from Harden just like hitting it ahead. And how often the regular season before we got Harden was I like, there's just no transition game whatsoever with this team because no one's looking up, no one's making those passes, and it's really nice to have him there. But yeah, the defense was bad tonight. Hopefully it gets better later in the series.
We will talk about B-Ball Paul, his adventure right after Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Maybe if Raptors fans, what I could never remember what it's called when a bunch of people do one lawsuit, class action. That's what it is. Maybe Raptors fans can have a class action lawsuit against the referees. Just take all of their tears and energy and call Kornblau and do a class action suit, and they can sue them. Kornblau and Kornblau is the official law firm of the process. One of, not the original Ricky sponsor, that is LL, but Kornblau was super early. I still remember sitting with him in a Jenkintown bar and him just fucking blathering on about how good he is at personal injury law. He's fucking awesome at it. He loves
Kornblau
it.
has the proper amount of swagger. Kornblau teach Maxey a class on swagger.
He does. His swagger is at an all-time high right now. He's walking around like he's Jordan. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process, been there. That law firm been there over 40 years. His parents started it. He runs it now with his mother. They have had some of the biggest medical malpractice results in southeastern PA. The most important thing I would say about Kornblau and Kornblau is that when you call a personal injury law firm, let's say you Google one, let's say you see a billboard for one, you call there, you're not actually getting them. They just ship you off. They're just referral services. When you call Kornblau and Kornblau, you're actually getting the person we're talking to you about. Just try it. Give a call, 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam. You're going to get Adam. He's going to take care of you. Not only does he take care of you for personal injury, but he's helped so many of our listeners with other weird legal issues, and he's willing to do that as well. He's a good person and really cares about what he does and does a great job. If you've been injured in an accident, do not be a hero. Don't just, I'll be fine. Car accident, slip and fall, injured at work, any of those things, medical malpractice, like I mentioned, just call Kornblau or shoot him an email. It doesn't cost you anything until he gets you some sort of result. Nothing. The email, the call doesn't cost you anything. 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam. He once bought an entire Underground Arts corn dogs. 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam or email Kornblau, KORNBLAU, at kornblauandkornblau.com. Official law firm of the process. This was the first non-B-Ball Paul victory tour game. It was like a B-Ball Paul anti-highlight film, just of everything.
He had a reverse dunk in the playoffs in traffic. I'm still doing a victory tour. You don't have to show up. Nobody else has to come, but I'm still showing up and the tour continues.
Do you think Doc putting in DeAndre Jordan for that final 0.9 was a middle finger to all of us?
Yes, absolutely. 100% absolutely. He was so happy. He was so thrilled about it. I bet he said something about it in the press conference at the end. Good job, DeAndre, for preventing the shot, blah, blah, blah. He's going to give him all the credit in the world. DeAndre was actually just as big as Embiid this game because of that play. Yeah, B-Ball Paul, not his best game. I didn't love like going up on a reverse layup with a shoe there. Like you gotta dunk that. Like that was great. You just gotta dunk that. But off a Harden pass the next play, it was just like really nice that he got to go up strong and throw down a reverse dunk in the NBA playoffs. I think, MOC, tell me if you disagree. I used to say that B-Ball Paul is just weird and that's why Doc hates him. But I think he's weird and that's why refs hate him also. I think there's a conspiracy among refs to be like, that's a foul on B-Ball Paul. Like, what is this guy? What's he look like? He's bizarre. I think it's prejudice against weirdness. And I stand with B-Ball Paul and the tour continues.
Mike talks about him like he has 4 feet when he talks about how weird he is.
He does. He may as well. And he did also, like, look, he stripped Siakam on ball and passed it to Maxey for a transition bucket. And that was like the first easy bucket that the Sixers had in the entire game when they didn't have anything going. So I thought it was, even if it wasn't the best B-Ball Paul game, I will still take a -5 up 2-0 in the series going onto the road. Like that's totally fine. I think it was was only a below average b-ball Paul game because I have such a high standard for him. And yet he was still very helpful and good and better than any other option. And
Leaning
they would have
in.
been Atlanta if b-ball Paul was on the team was playing last
He
year.
he still had like 2 nice plays, like he said, on the strip, which is way more than we're used to with DeAndre Jordan and Paul Millsap, and we will take that. I think you're right that he's just like flailing limbs everywhere all the time, and I think refs have a hard time with that. B-ball Paul is like he's like a dude in your high school who like is a great at like a different sport and only plays basketball like a couple months out of the year, and you're like, oh, if this dude ever just like committed to basketball, he could be really good. That's what he reminds me of. He's just like amazing athlete and like kind of a weird body and like not totally meant for the sport, but like he pops in and makes some crazy plays. Yeah, I don't know. He was fine. Like if they would have lost this game, B-ball Paul would have been like the 11th thing that I would have mentioned. It was not like he was a disaster. He was not Jonah Bolden. He was not Craig Monroe. No. He was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I just simply his ability to switch and contest shots hard is just like that's the whole ball game for a backup center. Like that's all of it. It's not like the look, I want to see some like B-ball Paul ISOs. I would love for B-ball Paul to get some lobs, like actually use them a little bit more. But even if he didn't do any of that, this is like what you need a backup center for is to switch and contest hard. And sometimes they're gonna hit shots, but a lot of times they're not when they have a 6'11" weird guy with 4 limbs in their face.
I had a dead serious thought when Harden fouled out. I was like, should they go offense defense with Niang and B-ball Paul? Like, should that be a thing that they do? And then
championship level decisions, baby.
That'd be great. That would earn Doc my respect for a long time. He would get a lot of rope for that.
Niang talked a lot of shit tonight. He was pretty hyped with the big shot. So, all right, there's 2 other players I had on my list to specifically talk about. One is Danny Green, one is Tobias Harris. Now, Tobias offensively did not have the same game that he had the first 2, but he wrestled away. Now, he missed the shot, but wrestling away that offensive rebound at the end of regulation was not very Tobias.
No, toughness with the ball is not something that he has always displayed.
And him stripping Siakam in the closing minutes, just as a big defensive stand, I will go to my fucking grave saying Siakam is not as good as people think he is, but Tobias, once known as defensive liability, and it can be at times, his on-ball defense, Mike, as you've talked about it before, was really solid there. And I thought he played tough tonight, even though he didn't hit shots. He could have hit one more 3-pointer. We would have hit the same game parlay. It was plus 400. It would have been nice. But even without it, I thought it was a solid hard work and effort from Tobias.
Yeah,
Only shot 3 threes, but whatever.
Yeah, but it's not because he's passing out of them. It's not because he's pump faking out of them. It's because they're contesting him so hard. Because he has shown a propensity to like, I'm going to go up with it if you're not going to be here. So
he is hiding in the dunker spot a little bit. Did you notice that the last quarter?
A little. Him or Danny is one of them is always kind of there in a way that you're like, I don't want you to, if you're open, I probably pass him, but I'm not thrilled about it in either direction. Danny obviously smoked a layup at one point. But yeah, Tobias I thought was just like, there was not only did he have like strip Siakam, he had a couple times when he was like had him in jail. Like it was like, this is a prison that you're in, and it's like, it's Tobias Harris. Like I've always been, with the exception of the first 75% of this year, I've always been pro his defense, especially on ball. But like it was never as good as this. Like this was the best defensive game I've seen Tobias play in a long time. He denied the ball at one point, which you're never seeing him do. Like really like making it hard on guys. Look, the loose ball thing, that's one thing we could improve upon, Tobias. That's something we could do. We can work on that. It's not only Tobias doesn't pick up loose balls. When he's around, no one does. Like if the loose ball comes in his direction, everyone's kind of like, I don't know about this. Like it's like, I have a peanut allergy, and when I go to dinner with people and they're like, should we get peanuts? I don't know. It's like Tobias like, I have a loose ball allergy. We shouldn't touch it around Tobias. Like we shouldn't touch the loose ball. He's like he'll be upset. He could die. Anaphylactic shock. That's the whole thing. But I really thought like, yes, he didn't have as much volume on the offensive end, but I think like he's still doing like quick, decisive like everything is faster, and not faster and out of control, just like faster, and like processing speed is way, way, way faster. I don't know how one gets better at that over the course of a season, but he's just like, he's really locked in right now, and I respect it and I appreciate it. I think because of the shot and the quickness that he's getting it up, it opens up his first step to be the straight line drive guy, which he has shown an ability to do. So there was one time down 17 where they like tried to post him up on OG, and OG just like took the ball away from him right away. I was like, that was a bad part of the game. That was Doc being like, well, look, maybe this will work, and it doesn't, and we know it doesn't, so that's fine. But even if he missed the baby hook, I respect it. I respect all that he's done. It was a nice, if not, the first 2 games were 2 of the best games of Tobias' Sixers career. So this is a nice compact Tobias game.
It's insane for me to watch. I feel the same way that you do, Mike. I think you said it on the last podcast. Like, I have said some outrageous shit about Tobias. I have said he's not worth 40% of his contract. I've said I would trade him for Kevin Love. I've said like I would take anyone. I said I would take Tim Hardaway Jr. over him like years ago, and like that now it's like I've said like guys half as good as him I would take over him. He's
deserved it in the past.
He has deserved it. He has deserved it. Like, I don't feel like I owe him like an apology. Like, he's playing better. He is playing better now. But it's insane to me. Like, I just really feel like I trust him. Like, I feel like when the ball goes to him, he's going to make the right play.
Yeah.
When he has 6 feet of space, he's going to shoot it. When he's guarding Siakam, I feel like he's going to get a stop. His defense was insane. Like, we're not even giving him enough credit. Like, he was locking guys down, and like Siakam couldn't even get position in the post. Like, he couldn't get the ball. Like, Tobias was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't know what has clicked for him. Maybe like all of the online abuse just like finally flipped the switch in his brain. But dude, he deserves. He deserves so much credit.
Book to get all the to get his stuff.
Got an Anthony Robbins book or something. Danny, this was the full Danny experience.
Really was. And I laughed earlier in the podcast because I looked at who led the team in plus minus today. Oh, it was Danny Green.
Yeah, of course.
46 minutes, Danny was a plus 10. Just what a guy. What a bizarre.
Big shots, missed bunnies, weird floaters, strange turnovers.
A floater that he missed that he had never a chance. He got an offensive rebound. And I was like, Danny, just kick it out, start the offense again, man. But he's like, no, it's time for me to unveil my floater. And also draw a charge out of it. Come on, smoking the layup and then immediately hitting the 3 to tie it is like really the full. We're getting the full Danny on everything every level of it.
It's almost like he plays like he did that football player drill that Buddy Ryan used to make them do, where they hold a bat down and they spin around for 30 seconds and then they have to run. Danny runs like he doesn't know where he is. You know?
Yeah. And I did love him getting a tee. I actually respected the tee. He was just boxing out and like getting his arm pinned, and refs get baited on that all the time. I know it was really cool to see him be that pissed off. And then Harden and Joel and Maxey just like shoving him, be like, dude, we have nobody else. Do you want us to play Korkmaz? Do you? Like, just like getting in his face, just shoving him out of there. It would have been a game. Look, Danny was great. I appreciate him. Some chaos. That's just what you're gonna get with Danny. But like him and Niang both hitting 3 threes in this game were just like huge weapons. And it's really, when you have Maxey and Harden and Embiid, and you can add Tobias in it, but sometimes he's just one of the guys in the corner of like, you just need guys that the defense has to respect to give them space to do what they need to do. And when Danny and Niang and Tobias are hitting those shots in the corner, like, the offense just flows. This is 3 of the best. The Sixers had 22 turnovers tonight, and they still won this game because their offense is so efficient with shooters that are hitting shots and Harden, Embiid, and Maxey in the middle doing their thing. And it's just like, it's really, really impressive to see. And you didn't see that a lot during the. It would have been nice to have Matisse for sure, especially on a couple possessions where like Danny was just like a foot slow on, maybe several feet slow on a real contest. But him out there offensively has been really, really helpful for this team.
I feel like I only saw Shake for like 4 seconds tonight. I don't know how much he actually played, but I
11
think.
minutes.
Oh,
No
really?
shots, but he got to the line.
Okay. I barely remember his existence tonight. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. He has not done anything in this series, but he also hasn't done anything wrong. And
Right.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, Shake. If there was like an NBA logo right now for like the most average player in the league, it's Shake, which is fine, which is totally fine. It's not a negative thing, but he's not like 39 points against the Clippers Shake right now.
When they talk about VORP, are they talking about like Jokic's
Value over
difference
Shake.
over Shake?
Yeah, value over Shake. Voss Water should sponsor value over Shake.
Vosum, value over Shake Mountain.
Did you guys think that Joel 3 at the end of regulation was going to bounce in when it hit the front rim? The one that
No.
Tobias got the rebound for?
No.
The angle that they had it at, I thought we were going to have the Kawhi shot of the first bounce, and then I thought it was going in. I was losing my mind. But it was a really nice play by Tobias to like muscle in there. And it probably was a foul, but you're not going to get that call. In those situations, unless you just like fall down and like clearly get hit in the head, you're not going to get that call.
That was like, if they would have lost the game, like what a pathetic end of game set for Doc. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
how is that your shot? Like,
I do wonder if that was just Joel like freelancing a little bit. I think it was just like let's get the ball to Joel with like enough time to do his thing and run the clock out and not give Toronto another look of it. But I agree, but yeah.
It's like it somehow like blocks out of everyone's head, including Joel, that like this is not a team that you can catch the ball on the 3-point line and dribble into a post up. Like if you start to do that, there's going to be 3 guys on you and Achua is going to be fouling you and it's not going to be called. Like this is not a team where you just like waltz into like good looks, and somehow they just like keep forgetting that. And they got to work way harder if they're going to get Joel better touches.
Achua's good. He's really good. He plays his ass off.
He moves so fast. I feel like everyone.
He's very fast. He's big and fast, and he can handle. I mean, he's still sloppy. Like there's still like a sloppiness to him for sure. He's young. He'll tighten that up for sure. I always thought he was a better prospect than James Wiseman. I'll say it all the time because they were college teammates. But like how quickly he became a confident 3-point shooter is ridiculous. He took like a couple threes last season, and now he's all of a sudden like the guy. Like you can't like leave him open. So there was always going to be somebody that shot like 90% from 3 in this series. We thought it was Boucher, but it's Achua.
Mike, do you have any comment on Brandon Ingram's game the other night?
Oh, I didn't see it. I was at my buddy's, my nephew's baseball game, so I didn't watch. My nephew's baseball game, who they won on a walk-off 2-run home run. It was crazy.
Did Embiid hit it?
JV baseball. No.
Congratulations, Mike's nephew. I saw his
No,
picture.
he didn't hit, but he made a couple nice plays in the field.
Okay.
But it was just as good, I'm sure. If you were at that JV baseball game in Arizona, just as good as the Pelicans win.
Would you trade him for Brandon Ingram as your nephew?
Probably.
Wow.
He's good. Probably a sweet kid.
Mike, are you still thinking Raptors in 7?
I'll say Raptors in 4. I don't care. I don't give you think I've been doing a podcast for 9 years. You think I'm scared of looking wrong?
No.
This is great.
Wow.
I'm having a blast.
Come on.
I'm having
Good.
an absolute blast.
Do we have anything else before we go? We have like 2 things. First of all, I don't want to count my chickens before they're hatched, but the only Heat fan I know is Amos's manager Perry, who's not only a Heat fan but a real fucking annoying dickhead Heat fan, and I'm looking forward to that potential series. That's the first thing, as well as. Amos Lee was playing Kansas City the other day, and someone yelled out from the crowd, "Play me and Kyrie," and he said, "Fucking rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners are everywhere." Kansas City, they're yelling at him to play me and Kyrie. We got and I will do this last, but I feel like we have to do it because it's for our listeners. We got like a long-time emailer beg us for relationship advice. And we have MOC here. I want to bring CJ in, and I want to make that the last thing we do. But I want to make sure you guys have all your basketball covered before this. I want to end it on Saturday and get a long break. I want to end it on Saturday. Like, let's end it.
Do you think the Raptors will roll over? I don't think they will.
I don't think they'll roll over, but this was the game. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have to work so hard to get a 7-point lead, and I think they got to go in and fucking close it out.
This game reminded me it was a tougher version of I I think game 3 against the Nets in 2019 where Butler got ejected. So like kind of similar, like that game, it was like Ben and Joel kind of making a statement of like, this is our thing. And like, we like the Nets really pushed them and they took over the game and won it. It was a Mike Scott game winner. Yeah. And this was like kind of a similar thing. Maxey didn't like, totally like take the reins when Harden fouled out, but like, it just became like Joel, and like Joel just like took it by the horns. And like these two games reminded me a little bit of each other.
I was going to say this, if this feels like the Celtics series that the Sixers lost in 5, right?
The first one.
When TJ won them the game.
Yeah, not the bubble one, the other one.
Yeah. Where you're like, especially this game, it feels like, if you're a Raptors fan, you're like, it feels like we're closer. It feels like we could have a couple things here and there. But it's just like they're the better team. And it's really exhilarating and like an exhaling in a nice way to be like, we're the team that finishes games now. Like, we don't have to worry. Like, it's still, look, I still have issues with some closing lineup choice, with closing, play decisions. I would love to get the ball in the hands with a guy who's not dribbling it from 7 feet 2 in the air. But like, it's just, we are appreciating this. This was easily one of their harder first round matchups over the past few years. It is not a good matchup just because of the things that, like, Harden and coaching and all that stuff. But they've come to play and they battled and they took a bunch of punches, and you have to feel good. Tobias, I feel great about Tobias. Like, bench guys hitting threes. It's to be up 3-0 in this series is a big deal, and let's stay healthy and keep it moving.
One last thing for me, they're beating Miami. And I think it's 6. Like, I've been watching Miami and Atlanta, dude. That Miami just doesn't have like the type of dudes to create shots in the half court that like other teams in the East do, and even that the Sixers do. Like, and every minute that they play Hero or Robinson is just like lunchtime for Harden and Maxey. Like, if I were, and like, you also have to keep in mind, like, yeah, they have, good wings to switch onto the Sixers guards, but like, that also is switching someone onto Embiid, and Embiid's going to feast on those. Like, they're different from the Raptors in the sense of like, if you switch Butler onto Embiid, you're cooked. Whereas if you switch like Anunoby onto Embiid, you might have a chance. Yeah. So they're beating Miami. They're beating Miami.
We'll talk about it if it gets there. But yeah, and I still have hope for that Atlanta is going to push them a little bit more than they've pushed them. But I did look. I don't know. Heat in 4. Who gives a shit? I'll be wrong every time. Let's bring it. I don't give a shit. Let's go. Heat in 1. Hawks in -0.5.
All right. The relationship advice. Wait a minute. Is that not playing in the thing? Are you hearing that or no?
I heard it from your phone.
I mean, you were playing it through your mic. It didn't sound like it was...
come on. Hold on. I got to have it work in the thing, or I'm sorry. I didn't buy this whole fucking thing to not have it work. So, every once in a while, you got to have something work. So let me try it now.
Biggest shot of Embiid's career.
And I'm
into
dicking
relationship
around.
Advice.
Yeah. Well,
right into it.
Sometimes, what do you think, MOC?
Sorry, I was scrolling Twitter, honestly.
That's right.
This guy.
That's a guy that knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm getting texts from friends, some complimenting, some not complimenting my mustache. So I'm also trying to process that.
That's a whole other thing. I'm not even bowing. I'm not being trolled by you and your mustache.
I think it looks nice. I think it fits on your face.
A lot of chat activity tonight on your mustache on both sides of the spectrum.
Okay. All right.
Well, we'll play the relationship advice in post or something. I'm sorry. Eliza Hardy-Jones, we love you. All right. Dear Spike, Mike, and CJ, and also MOC, my name is Johnny. The first pod I ever listened to was the Stauskas interview, which, by the way, we hassled them on Twitter to do. I appreciate you guys. We're lucky to have you two talk about this incribly silly basketball team.
Totally
What's
forgot.
that?
until just now. Did
Yeah.
not remember we interviewed Stauskas.
We hassled them on Twitter to have it happen. I'm emailing for relationship advice. I know we're in the middle of the playoffs. So I understand if you can't get to this on the pod. Au contraire. But all of a sudden, I'm in a weird situation with some urgency, and the Sixers are tangentially involved. A little backstory. April 29th night, 2019, around 5 p.m. I'm on my way to meet a young woman for drinks. At the time, I was working at an after-school program at an elementary school, and the young woman in question was a teacher at the elementary school. I'll call her Annie. We were meeting up to discuss a student who was having some problems. I thought it was a date. Before we met up, she referenced her boyfriend to me in a text, so I concluded it was not a date. We meet up, we have drinks, it feels like a date. We talk about the kid, we talk about ourselves, she flirts with me, yada, yada. We FaceTime her mom accidentally. It was weird. She should mention her boyfriend in oblique ways. I think he used the word oblique wrong there, but that felt like reminders to the both of us. I don't need to drag out this bit, but we had a lot of chemistry. We bonded quickly and nothing happened. Her boyfriend picked her up. I looked at the TV in time to realize I missed most of the first half of game 2 against the Raptors. I watched the rest of the game and talked to the bartender about my date, which she was an audience to. The Sixers tied the series, and the bartender told me I got a pretty bizarre first date story out of. It was a confusing night, and I was kind of blown away with how I felt being with her. Of course, over the course of getting to know her, I learned that she is moving at the end of the year. I wasn't going to try to get her to break up with her boyfriend or anything. I just wanted to spend time with her while I could. Yeah, sure. We go out 2 or more times, not on dates. Once with other teachers and once just the 2 of us. I don't make any moves. Nothing happens other than me missing game 6 of the Raptors series in addition to game 2. Cut to this past Saturday. The Sixers are once again playing the Raptors in the playoffs. I haven't talked to Annie in at least 2 years. We texted for a while, but that faded as it often does. I get a DM on Instagram from Annie on Saturday. We make small talk for a couple minutes. She says she wants to visit Gainesville, the city I live in, and all of a sudden she makes plans to drive up to visit me this coming Saturday. Once again, I will be missing a Sixers versus Raptors playoff game. I could be overthinking this, but isn't it pretty weird? I'm certainly not complaining. I'm very happy to hear from her. That said, we knew each other for a couple of months 3 years ago, and we saw each other outside of work 3 times. She lives a minimum of 2 hours away and says she's going to drive back on the same day to take care of her dogs. Mm-hmm. That's like 5 hours of driving. She didn't say whether or not she's still in a relationship or drop any hints of what prompted her to reach out to me. Again, I'm not complaining. I don't know what I'm asking for in terms of advice. If you want to take some stabs at what could have prompted her to reach out, I'm all ears. I guess, how should I approach the day?
So I think, look, I'll give you the same advice that I have given the Sixers for many years with their backup center. Is you want to have optionality. Come in with some flexibility. Know that, all right, if there's still a boyfriend in the picture, then you go we play a big 5. We play back. We play drop coverage. We keep our hands back. All that stuff. Have a nice time. Friendly person you used to work with. And if you feel that there's a different situation, that there is not a boyfriend in the picture, then there's certainly some hinting that it could be in that direction. You wouldn't be feeling stupid, I would say, to think that kind of drive, that kind of out of nowhere, maybe it's a newly single type of deal. But I would say be nice and keep those hands back. MOC, how would you defend this?
Yeah, I can't come up with a basketball analogy, but I would just say go in with the mentality of you're just going to have a good time. That's it. Have that should be your only goal.
Share the ball.
And it will become clear whether the boyfriend is still in the picture, what her true motivation is for visiting you. It will become clear. And if it doesn't become clear before she makes a move on you, make her stop, because obviously there are shitty people out there who will cheat and whatever. You don't want to do that. So, go in with the mentality that you're just going to have a good time. So someone you vibe with, you have good chemistry with. That's something that people don't forget. When you have chemistry with someone, you remember it. And just go with the mentality you're going to have fun, and it will become clear if there is a boyfriend in the picture. And if for whatever reason it doesn't, ask.
wait a minute. If there's a boyfriend in the picture, she
Yeah,
is
then-
the worst
yes.
girlfriend on the
Yes.
planet.
There could be an ending situation. It could be rocky.
Hold on.
Yes.
That kind
I
of
want CJ's take, but I just have to get out here. If I found out even in the original scenario where she is drinking with you at a bar
Yeah.
more than once with a boyfriend, and then if she has a boyfriend and she is driving 2 hours
Yeah.
to fucking see you,
Yeah, unless there might be you're not hearing all of the reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
yeah. CJ.
Yeah, the first part, it seemed like it was just coworkers going out, like having a good time, which is completely normal, I think. I think boys and girls can be friends and have other, relationships.
There we go. Dem govs, baby.
That's right. The second part, she could also just be like visiting the city and know that he lives there and be like, oh, well, I have this old friend here. Like, he can maybe show me around.
She's driving. No.
It's two sides. I guess three
You
sides.
want to have
of the story.
optionality. That's why you want to be able to switch.
Yeah, I wouldn't think about it too much unless she's like, oh yeah, by the way, we broke up like early on, then maybe. But
I will I'm kind of also processing this along with Spike. There's something a little off about this girl.
For sure.
Something a little sketchy. Like why would she even say that she's going back the same day? I don't know. It's almost like
Well, I
she
think
wants,
that's probably for her to do
Yes.
well, I'm not sleeping over anywhere, so don't
Yes.
get any ideas. And I'm not being desperate type of deal.
Right,
I also
but if she had a boyfriend, that would be understood. I don't know.
yeah.
I guess my point is just so obviously, I'm not telling you to expect anything. Be respectful, all those things, 100%. And maybe she is just visiting the city, whatever. I think Mike's advice is the best optionality.
Always
My
is.
second piece of advice: do not make this person your significant other. Do not, under any circumstances, make this.
Oh, I
person
don't know that I agree with that. So if it's a recent breakup and the relationship wasn't great, that kind of thing, and she's just like, I want to, I've been meaning to for a while. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's totally out of the picture. And we also don't know how young these people are.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe they're CJ age. Could be.
He's like,
Little
look at how
babies.
little he is.
what do you mean?
What's that shirt say?
Don't
panic.
panic.
That's nice.
Don't panic, baby. It's all good.
That's our advice. That's our advice on this situation.
Yeah.
Don't
There
panic.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was a great one. This was a great win. I was toward the end of the game. I'm like, you know what? Even if they lose this, they battled back. I feel good about it. Yada yada yada. But to come on the pod after that fucking
Yeah. I knew they were gonna fucking win that game. I don't know why. I don't know how. I just I was confident. I didn't scare the dog at any point until I almost punched her by accident.
So years ago, when I first got season tickets, before I gave them up recently, but years ago, I used to, whoever I was sitting next to, if the Sixers were doing well, this was like the Doug Collins era, I would punch him in the arm. And the Easter game where Lou Williams hit the three, I went with my now wife, and it was our first, we'd been dating for 4 months or 5 months, whatever it was. And I take her to that game, and Lou Williams hits the three, and I put her in a headlock and started smacking her rear end after Lou Williams hit the three because she told me not to punch her in the arm. So that was my reaction. So I could understand hitting the dog.
I didn't.
Love
I mean,
tap.
look, I'm not hitting dogs. The dog was laying on me when the shot went up, and I did an action.
I'm starting to wonder if Mike was the guy who punched the police horse when the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
That's right. I would have. I
Ooh.
certainly would have. Freaking cop horse.
if
Get outta
if
here.
there were a police horse on your couch while right as the
Yeah, I would
that
never.
pass
I would
hit
never
the-
allow that.
hit the ground. Yeah.
That's right. What a win.
We will talk to you Saturday after the game. Hopefully the series is over. We get a little breather in between series. Me personally would love a breather in between series. So finish it off Saturday. MOC, thank you. MOC was here originally as, Mike might have been late, but it's good to have MOC as a fucking expert. And to give him credit, we gave him credit at the beginning. MOC both publicly in writing went on a different podcast, which is just fucking shameful, but whatever, went on a different podcast and also in text message repeatedly said to me and to everyone, I believe in Joel. And he was like, the Raptors are not that good. Like, not that they're not good, but these are two different level of teams. And MOC's prediction came true here.
Great take and a great AU piece off of it.
Yep.
Look, that's the Ricky universe working in harmony.
Did you see AU wrote the strangest piece of AU's career today? He wrote a piece that basically said that Tyrese Maxey is going to be an all-star either next year or the year after. And the first 10 people who tweeted him with the hashtag Tyrese Maxey is not an all-star, if he doesn't make an all-star game, AU will donate $50 to the charity of their choice, those 10 people, within the next 2 years.
Sounds like an ad.
Yeah. So I said, I emailed him. I'm like, AU, so what you're saying is, like, people should be cheering for Maxey not to make an all-star team so their charities can get donated to? Like, there's like a perverse incentive here. So
there's just no way that anyone gets paid anything off of this. No one's gonna like
AU the fraud.
Yeah.
It's a Ponzi scheme. Don't fall for it.
Thank you, MOC. We will talk to you on Saturday. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, Lickface.